Hello everybody, you're visiting the Neil's Homestead. I'm Jeanette and today we're going to be in the kitchen. I went on a shopping spree to a bargain store and bought a great big can of jalapenos. These are jalapenos that are pickled with some spices and vinegar. And what I'm going to do today is turn them into cowboy candy. So follow along and you can find out how to do it. Basically, cowboy candy is very sweetened, candied jalapeno slices. Now the first thing I have to do is get this big can open, and it's not always the easiest thing to do, but I do have a nice hefty opener to do it with. It's still a lot of work. I paid only $2.85 for these jalapenos, so it was a bargain that I couldn't pass up. The first thing I'm going to do is drain all of the liquid off of it. After they've drained pretty well, I'll set the colander over into another bowl, and then what I need to do is to measure this. I have a quart jar, which is 4 cups, that I'll use to measure it. After I get the first jar full, I'm going to put it in my pan that I have back here on my stove. And then see how much more I have. And what I have is slightly more than 2 more cups. So 6 cups of liquid total. And at this point I want to show you some that I did before by just taking a small jar of jalapenos like this with the vinegar and adding a whole bunch of sugar. I don't think I really measured the sugar with this. I just mixed sugar in with the vinegar solution, put the jalapenos back in there, and I've been storing these in my refrigerator for a long time. But today I'm going to can and make more than just 1 jar full. Not knowing how much liquid I was going to end up with when I dumped that can, I feel like 6 cups is too much. So I've drained off 1 cup of the vinegar solution. Now I'm not going to throw that away because that'll be good for something. And I have some jalapenos in my freezer actually that I just might get sliced up and add to some of this. It would be really good. Now this may seem really sweet and overdone, but this is what I'm recommending to you, and this is what I'm going to do, is for every cup of liquid that I've drained off of my jalapenos, I'm going to add 3 cups of sugar. So I have 5 cups of vinegar in here. I'm going to add 15 cups of sugar. In case you ever wondered, there are 9 cups of sugar in a 4-pound bag of sugar. This is going to take some close attention to get all this sugar dissolved and slow heating to keep it from sticking on the bottom. But we're going to let this boil for like 5 minutes. I don't know who ever dreamed up cowboy candy or to call it cowboy candy, but I'm glad they did, because the sweet heat and the vinegar, the little sourness of the vinegar, they make a great combination for a chewy treat on a cracker or some tortilla chips, you know, combined with cream cheese or regular cheese too. If the jalapenos are a little bit spicy, you can tame the heat down with some cheese. And I think they'll be especially good with cream cheese. And at the end, I'm going to have a little guy taste, not these, but some of the other that I've made, and see how he likes it. He's not a big fan of hot stuff, but he has agreed to taste it for me so we can get his reaction. After I successfully got it to a boil without having it stick on the bottom and started my 5-minute countdown, I've still had to pay a close attention to this stuff because it wanted to boil over. It wanted to swell up and just boil right over, and wouldn't that be an awful mess to have to deal with on your stove? So I've had to remove it from the burner several times to keep it from boiling over. And now I'm ready to add my jalapenos. I'm going to do this carefully because I don't want to splash out my... Now these jalapenos have already been cooked because they've already gone through a canning process. I don't need to cook them again. And I'm going to water bath them, so I don't need to have them boiling hot. And for another reason, I'm putting them in jars that are not heated. So I have to be careful that I don't cause too much temperature shock on my jars. So if I just stir this cool jalapeno mixture down into the syrup, then I think I'm going to be good, and I can safely put them right into the jars. Here's an interesting thing that I see, and I don't know why it's happened, but I always like interesting things, is that before I put the jalapenos in, my syrup was kind of a yellow color, or you know, whitish yellow, but as soon as I put those jalapenos in there, it turned the syrup clear. With this tool, I'm going to sort out the jalapenos and put them into the jars without the liquid, because I want to have more jalapenos in there than I do juice, and I don't think I can do that with a ladle. After I got my jars filled with the jalapenos, then I'm just ladling in the juice, and I'm going to end up with a lot more juice than I expected to end up with, but I'm not going to waste it. Fill this up to within about half or maybe even a quarter of an inch. Now I've got a lot, like about 2 quarts I'm guessing, of syrup left over, and I'm definitely not going to let that go to waste. So what I've done is get 2 bags of jalapenos that we had in our freezer, and I'm going to let those thaw a little bit and cut them up and put them down into that syrup, and I'll use those up too. The frozen jalapenos are what I actually had in mind to make cowboy candy out of, and whenever I found that cheap can at the store, I decided to buy that and use that. But I'm really glad that I went ahead and had all this extra syrup left over, because I can just use that. I don't have to make any other vinegar and sugar and all the stuff, ingredients that go with it. I can just cut up those and I'm ready to go, and I'll have lots of cowboy candy made. After I get my jars all full, I'll wipe the tops of these really well, because there's quite a bit of sugar in this and it's really sticky. And then I'll put a lid on top of each one and a ring. And then I'll cook them in a water bath canner covered by 2 inches of water for 15 minutes on the pints. All right, let's see if old guy's ready to give us a taste test. Okay, well, he's ready to give a taste. Let's see if I can get some out here. Okay, what we're gonna do is put a little bit of cream cheese on a cracker. A couple of slices of pepper, maybe 1. It's a pretty big slice. So, smell pretty peppery.
I used to live in the country on a high lonesome hill. Crow by day, by night the whippoorwill.
Is it very hot?
I used to live in the country
No.
on a high lonesome hill.
It has a lot of flavor, but it isn't too hot.
Okay, that's good. A lot of jalapeno flavor. Okay, so I think I'll have some too. And you're gonna have another one?
I think it will.
Okay.
Be with you.
That's kind of a surprise that you wanted another one. That's good. Okay, that's it for this one. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
You don't have to show that.
Bye.